I spent the last 15 years coaching all types of runners, from first timers to Olympic hopefuls, and the questions that come up over and over again are always the same. What pace should I be running? How do I fuel for a marathon? Am I actually ready for this race? One thing my athletes will tell you about me is that I'm someone who loves efficiency. I love solving problems. Most importantly, I love helping people. So naturally, I built a bunch of free tools to answer these questions to help as many runners as possible. Before I give you the tools, I wanted to just quickly say I'm not a social media guy. You can see this. I don't really post much on Strava or Instagram. I'm always going to be a coach first and be a servant to my athletes. But one of the things after starting this YouTube journey that I've really enjoyed over the last 6 months is the opportunity to engage with so many of you about your training, your questions, comments, answering the things that you've never really been able to ask, and hearing about your race goals. I can honestly say that I've warmed up a little bit more to the social media because of this, and truly your feedback and your questions is a big reason for that. If you're listening to this and you've had a question, I'd encourage you, whether it's on this video or my older videos or any video that I've had, please ask questions, comment. I would love to answer them. I do my best. I think I've answered like 98 or 99% of them. It's made this journey more fun and engaging for me to know that there's athletes like you out there that are getting a benefit from this. So I'd encourage you to please ask questions, engage along the way. I'm here to help. All that kind of, sappiness and such aside, you're probably watching this video because you saw a thumbnail or a title, piqued your interest. It's something that you're training for, or if you're a huge running nerd like me, this is the type of content that sometimes is relaxing to you. So in which case, subscribe so we can be friends, and comment more often so I can answer questions for you. These tools are designed to help anybody at any stage of their running journey, and I'm excited to share them with you. So the first tool, if you're like me and filming this video February, I'm up here in Canada, there's snow and ice and everything. It's disgusting, is a treadmill calculator. For years, I've tried to go on the phone and get the chart and figure it out. And so what I did was I built a treadmill calculator that will convert your outdoor running paces to your treadmill paces and vice versa, and you can account for incline, etc. And I built this primarily because the treadmill running and outdoor running are not the same, and it was such a pain to try and find these tools all the time. And so when you run on the treadmill, there's no wind resistance, the belt is moving under you, so it's mechanically a little bit easier. So if you run a 8-minute mile on the treadmill at 0% incline, that's roughly equivalent to like 820, 830 mile outside, depending on the conditions. This is one conversion from the ACSM. You'll have to play with it a little bit, but I think it's important to recognize that this is part of it. So you train all winter on the treadmill at certain paces, then go outside in the spring and everything feels different. I get athletes who see on a training plan to run 9-minute mile easy, and then they set the treadmill at 9-minute mile easy, and it feels way too hard because they're not accounting for the difference. I've put the link below in terms of how to use it. It's super easy. Plug in your outdoor pace on the treadmill pace and it'll convert it for you. If you're doing hill workouts on a treadmill, you can adjust for the incline. A 1% incline on a treadmill roughly approximates outdoor running on flat ground due to the undulations you're going to have as you go. I built this tool just to remove some of the guesswork. You can use it as much as you want. You can find your paces. You can use it for workout paces, everything. I want you to be able to use this tool and know exactly what pace to set the treadmill to match your outdoor training so you can get the most out of your training session. The second tool, and this is probably the one that I'm the most proud of and excited about and love to share, my pace, zone, RP, and heart rate calculator. And if you've watched any of my videos, you see me talk about triangulating to get into the right zone or effort. You've probably seen each of these calculators on there. Do your heart rate and you get this, and RP zones are this, and if you're doing a 3-zone model or a 5-zone model, it's this, and your Daniel's pace is this. I tried to make the most comprehensive tool possible. I haven't seen anything like it out there. This is why I created it, because I was always answering this question for my athletes. I thought, well, why don't I build a tool and then everybody can use it? Much like the Daniel's calculator, you plug in a recent race time and it spits out your training paces, your heart rate zones if you put in a heart rate, your RPE targets, your VDOT, as well as your zones. So the paces are based on the Daniel's methodology and nomenclature, which I've talked about in my training video series. This tool allows me to finally answer the question that I get all the time. What pace should I be running for my easy runs? What heart rate should I be running? Is it tempo? Is it interval? Like, what is it? This tool gives you everything in one. And what I would encourage athletes to do, and what I do when I have a new athlete come start working with me, is I actually take it and I put in their information, I screenshot the chart for them, and I give it to them. So they have the chart for every pace. They know their RPE, their heart rate, their zones, and their paces for every run that they're going to do. I'll walk you through, I'll show it a little bit on the screen here, but just in terms of how to use this, take a recent race result, 5K, 10K, half marathon, whatever, plug it into the calculator. It's going to give you your easy pace range, marathon pace, tempo threshold, interval, rep pace, the corresponding heart rate zones, the RPE targets, and the zone-based training for each. This is the tool that I use with all my coached athletes, and so now you can use it for free as well. Please enjoy it, and let it help your training. There's one caveat when we're looking at calculators that I just want to note for anybody who's going to go onto it. These paces from the Daniels system assume good conditions and equal train status. So I've talked about this a little bit in some of the other videos with the VDOT in terms of how it operates depending on your train status. If you've just put a 10K PR in, but you haven't done any long runs, it's probably not going to carry over to the marathon pace, but it will give you what you could run under good conditions, well trained. As I say, with everything, use it as a guide, not gospel, and adjust based on effort and conditions. The third tool is one that I was also getting asked all the time by athletes, and it was, what should my carb load look like before marathons? How do I train my gut during my marathon build? And what should I do for carbs during my race? And so I built a simple guide to break down the exact set of fuel types, break down the science behind it, and the types of runs and races and how you should use it. This guide covers how many carbs you need before a run, how to carb load before the marathon, how much fuel during different runs and different lengths, what to eat post-run for recovery. As I noted, athletes were asking this all the time, and it was like, I'd see athletes come in with 6 weeks left in their build. I haven't done any fueling. How do I train my gut? I was like, oh man, well, we got to get working on this. What we've noticed in the last couple of years in the literature is a lot of athletes are doing the training. They're putting in their long runs, they're putting in their tempo workouts, they're putting in their easy runs, but they're falling apart at mile 20. And we've seen this like kind of high carb revolution come in now where athletes are really getting a lot of bang for their buck with carbs. This guide is built out of the latest literature and research, so that way you can take the application that I'm using with my pro athletes, my 212 marathoner Thomas Nobbs, all the way to my 5-6 hour marathoners that I coach, and teaching you how to use fueling as a skill, how to train your gut, how to practice it, and the framework to know what is enough, what it actually looks like, and how to get you from, week 16, week 12, starting a marathon, all the way to the marathon, as well as your carbs the day before and during. I highly encourage this carb guide for anybody who's getting to the marathon, anybody who hasn't tested out gels, doesn't know what their fueling plan is yet. This will give you a very solid benchmark and framework to move to achieve your goals on race day. So the fourth tool that I have for free is the mental performance worksheet. So this is actually a copy of exercises from my book that I wrote that I've put out so everybody can use for free. And so I use these athletes on my clinical side. I talk about this a little bit in videos, but not very often. Let me know if you want to hear more on the mental performance side, because I'd love to share it, but it just doesn't seem like anybody wants to see it yet. So if you want to see it, please comment. I'll add some more mental performance stuff to the channel. These exercises are the athletes I've used with everything from high schoolers trying to perform at their best to Olympic athletes across multiple sports. And so the worksheets in particular here are adapted for endurance athletes. It's the exact process that I go through in my clinical practice. Like who is it you want to be on race day? How do you reset if something goes sideways or different than what you want it to? I built this because I saw time and time again in my high performance coaching practice, and obviously in my clinical practice as a mental performance coach and registered psychotherapist, that there wasn't enough tools that were like running specific. Like people, if you're not a runner, you don't understand the mental side of it. We all think we're mentally weak, but really it's just like we're just not trained there. In the same way that like I'm not in marathon shape right now. It doesn't mean that I suck at the marathon. I'm just not trained for it. I wanted to put these tools out for free for everybody who struggles and thinks they're mentally weak or not good enough, or feel like their mental game is, one of their gaps to chasing their performance goals, so that they have the opportunity to close those gaps. So to use it, I would say download the worksheets. Obviously, you can print them out, you can fill them out digitally, whatever works best for you, and go through them one by one and really take a moment. Who is it I want to be? What would resonate when I reset? If I've got a hard workout, how am I going to think about that? What's the narrative I'm telling about myself? There are great tools in there to really help you on the mental side of performance that a lot of athletes aren't taking advantage of. The fifth tool, and probably the most popular one at this point for reasons unbeknownst to me, is my marathon readiness assessment. And so what I did is I broke down all the questions and all the things I'm looking at to assess if an athlete is ready to perform on race day. I would say in this regard, it's probably one of the most comprehensive tools I've built. It's a self-assessment that evaluates your current training, your fitness level, your pacing, your fueling strategy, your mental readiness, and identifies the gaps you need to close before race day. So you'll actually go through and be scored in each of these categories, and you'll get a results page right away along with a PDF of your results. I think the average completion time right now is 2 minutes and 46 seconds. So it doesn't take long. I've designed it to be quick and give you maximal feedback. You're going to get a personalized report with specific recommendations. I built this because this was the number one question that I get with new athletes, or you in the comments reaching out, is like, am I actually ready for this marathon? And the honest answer is usually it depends. I know that's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to pick a side, but it's true. It does depend. As a coach who I haven't seen your training log, your long run, your paces, your recovery, how you're feeling, asking about your feeling, I can't make a definitive assessment about whether you're ready for a marathon. So I can take things in the macro and give you a general idea of what build or race might look like based on the known factors, but certainty, like in life, is only really evident in retrospect or with like a lot of data. The vast majority of runners, hobbyists or elite, don't have a coach to evaluate all of these. So they're training on their own. They're following a free plan. They've got ChatGPT to, create them for you. And they're not sure if they're doing it right. So I built this assessment tool so everybody could have a free opportunity to see what areas am I missing, identify their gaps so they can work to start closing them. If you go to the assessment, go through it and answer it honestly. Don't inflate your answers to get a better score to make yourself. That's ego talking. We want to build like actual confidence. This assessment is for you. It's not for anyone else. You don't have to share it. And if you lead with ego, you'll blow up the process. Truthfully, that's probably a good rule for life, to be honest. It's going to ask you about your mileage, your long run duration, your consistency, your fueling, your injury history, your mental prep. I think it's 15 or 16 questions. And so at the end, we'll get feedback, whether you're ready for goal pace, what your biggest gaps are, specific things that you need to work on in the remaining time that you have left, and maybe whether you should adjust your goals based on how your current fitness is. Think of it as a coaching session without the coaching fee, I suppose, right? And if you go through it and realize you're not as ready as you thought, that's okay. I'd rather you know that now, weeks out from race day, than finding out 10, 12, 13 miles on race day that you weren't ready for it. I'd rather we save the blow up and readjust than blow up and potentially hate the sport that I think is such a beautiful sport that so many of us partake in. I had a couple athletes in the comments earlier videos, and some of my athletes asked why I'm giving this all away. There's athletes that obviously pay me to be coached, and I love that. I appreciate it. It's part of my job. I could put all these tools behind paywalls. I could charge for them. Some coaches do, some don't. But the entire space, I find, especially the like influencer side, and I hate that comment, and I recognize that like I'm putting out videos, so I guess technically I'm an influencer. I haven't figured that out yet, but the entire space is fraught with folks trying to purely financially capitalize on small products and fear, and athletes' desire to progress and find the best version of themselves. I think that's one of the best parts of the sport. Money is great. I hope we all have enough money to take care of our basic needs, but that's not why I built these tools. I built them because they're tools that I wish I had when I was starting out. It would have made my job coaching easier when I started out. It would have made me a better athlete when I started out. And these are tools that I use with my athletes every day. And if I can give them to you and make your training better, your health, the growth of the sport, the community, they're worth it for a few extra hours of me working on. Hopefully all of you are picking up in my videos. I do love to give and help, and that's why I said at the top of this video, please comment. I'd love to hear about your training. It's one of the things that keeps me actually coming back and doing these videos. As I said before, I'm very lucky. I've been fortunate to coach at the highest levels for 15 years and learn from some of the greatest coaches in the world and see some of the greatest athletes up close. And with the internet's ability to reach so many people, I just think it's a duty to share that. If these tools help you hit a PR or qualify for Boston or just enjoy running more and get more out of it, that's more than enough for me. And so if you're teetering on trying running and you're getting pushed this content on YouTube, hopefully this helps make you take the leap. And, we can help you actually see what so many of us see about this sport. If you find any of this valuable and you want to come along on the journey, I've been sharing videos. I've been teaching people how to train. I've been talking about research papers. I've been trying to do my best to give the most accurate applied science information to as many of you as possible. I'd love if you subscribe to the channel, share these tools with a runner or somebody who might need them. And again, drop comments. This is literally my favorite part of doing these videos, is the comments from real runners like you. I'm not trying to pitch you on buying a course or anything like that. I'm just trying to build a library of content and tools that actually help people. But if some point you feel like you could see yourself progressing to the next level, hopefully, maybe I'm somebody you might look at to help you there. Okay, these are the 5 free tools. Links to all of them are in the description below. No hoops to jump through, just click and use them. I've got more videos coming on training, pacing, fueling, mental strategies, and all the stuff that actually moves the needle to really help you as a runner. If you want to hear my thoughts on a more granular level, on different practices, concepts, training modalities within running, please check the playlist in the description. They'll give you a full framework of how it is that I teach. But yeah, I want to thank you for listening. I hope these free tools help you out, and please subscribe, comment. Again, I can't say that enough. I love reading that, and enjoy your runs.